If you're watching this right now because it feels like your life is being hit from every direction at the same time, your finances, your emotions, your relationships, your sense of who you even are, then this video is for you. I want you to stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll understand why everything seems to collapse all at once. And more importantly, you'll have a calm, grounded way to move through it instead of feeling like you're drowning. This isn't about motivation or pretending things are fine. It's about clarity. And if you find comfort in content that helps you make sense of overwhelming life moments, consider subscribing now so you don't have to face them alone. There was a moment in my life when everything seemed to break at once, not in a dramatic movie scene kind of way. No shouting, no door slamming. It was quieter than that, and somehow that made it worse. I remember standing in my kitchen one morning, holding my phone, staring at a bank balance that didn't make sense no matter how many times I refreshed the screen. At the same time, my chest felt tight, like I hadn't taken a full breath in weeks. My relationship felt distant, work felt fragile, and the future felt like a fog I couldn't see through. Nothing had ended officially, but everything felt unstable. And what scared me most wasn't any single problem, it was that they were all happening together. At first, I told myself I must be doing something wrong. I replayed my choices over and over in my head, trying to find the mistake that caused this chain reaction. I thought if I could just fix one thing, get more money, feel happier, repair that one conversation, everything else would settle down. But that didn't happen. Fixing one thing didn't magically heal the rest. In fact, sometimes trying to fix one part made another part worse. That's when the real panic set in, because if I couldn't solve it piece by piece, what was I supposed to do? What no one really tells you is that crises don't usually come neatly spaced out. Life doesn't wait for you to recover from one blow before delivering the next. And it's not because you're weak or unlucky. It's because so many parts of our lives are connected in ways we don't notice until something breaks. When one area starts to crack, the stress travels quietly into other areas. Money problems don't stay in your wallet, they move into your sleep, your mood, your relationships. Emotional exhaustion doesn't stay in your mind, it shows up in your body, your focus, your confidence. And when those things shift, they affect how you show up everywhere else. I didn't understand this at first. I thought each problem was separate, like fires breaking out randomly, so I ran around trying to put them out one by one, exhausted and frustrated when they kept reappearing. But eventually, after enough sleepless nights and quiet breakdowns in the shower, I started to see a pattern. It wasn't that everything was failing at once. It was that one part of my system had been under strain for a long time, and when it finally gave way, the rest followed. Think about it this way. Your life isn't a set of separate rooms. It's more like one house with shared walls. If the foundation starts to crack, you don't just get one broken wall. You get doors that won't close, windows that stick, floors that tilt just enough to make you feel off balance. And if you stand there blaming yourself for not fixing the window fast enough, you miss the real issue entirely. One of the most relieving realizations I ever had was understanding that this wasn't personal failure, it was systemic overload. I had been carrying too much for too long without enough support or recovery, and when life finally demanded more than I could give, the structure couldn't hold. That understanding didn't solve my problems overnight, but it changed how I treated myself inside the storm. I stopped asking, "What's wrong with me?" and started asking, What needs to be stabilized first? That question changed everything. Because when everything hits at once, the instinct is to regain control immediately, to make big decisions, to fix your entire life in one exhausted burst of effort. But that usually makes things worse. When you're overwhelmed, your nervous system isn't designed for long-term planning or complex problem solving. It's designed for survival. And if you ignore that, you end up making choices from panic instead of clarity. What I learned, slowly, imperfectly, was that the first step isn't solving, it's stabilizing. That means doing whatever helps your system feel just a little safer. Not happy, not successful, just less threatened. For me, that looked like simplifying my days, lowering my expectations, and giving myself permission to pause decisions that didn't need to be made immediately. It meant eating regular meals even when I didn't feel hungry, going to bed at a reasonable hour even when my mind was racing, and letting some unanswered emails stay unanswered. Once I stopped trying to fix everything at once, I noticed something unexpected. The noise began to lower. Not because the problems disappeared, but because I wasn't adding panic on top of them. And in that quieter space, I could finally see which parts of my life were actually connected. I could see how my financial stress was feeding my emotional shutdown, how my emotional shutdown was affecting my relationship, and how that tension was draining my energy at work. It wasn't random, it was a loop. Understanding that loop gave me a strange relief, because if things were connected, then progress in one area could support another. But that only worked if I chose carefully where to start. Instead of chasing the biggest or loudest problem, I focused on the one that would reduce pressure across the system. Sometimes that was rest. Sometimes it was boundaries. Sometimes it was asking for help, even when that felt uncomfortable. Another important shift came when I stopped trying to control outcomes and focused on containment instead. Control is about forcing things to turn out a certain way. Containment is about making sure things don't get worse while you regain strength. When everything hits at once, containment is often the wiser goal. It looks like protecting your energy, limiting damage, and creating small pockets of stability you can return to when things feel overwhelming. There were days when my only goal was to get through the day without spiraling, and I used to judge myself harshly for that. I thought I was being lazy or avoiding responsibility, but now I see that those days were necessary. They were the days my system needed to stop breaking down further so that rebuilding could eventually happen. What no one tells you about rebuilding is that it rarely feels like progress at first. It feels slow. It feels boring. Sometimes it feels like nothing is happening at all. But beneath the surface, something important is changing. You're learning to listen to your limits. You're learning which pressures you can release and which ones truly matter. You're learning how to respond instead of react. As I moved through this period, my perspective on success changed completely. I stopped measuring my life by how impressive it looked from the outside and started measuring it by how sustainable it felt on the inside. Could I maintain this pace without burning out? Could I face a problem without collapsing emotionally? Could I rest without feeling guilty? These questions became more important than any external milestone. There were setbacks, of course, times when another unexpected issue appeared and I felt that familiar wave of fear rise up again. But the difference was that I recognized it now. I knew that fear didn't mean everything was about to fall apart. It meant my system was sensing threat and asking for care. And instead of ignoring that signal, I listened. If you're in a season where it feels like everything is happening at once, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not broken. Your life is not cursed. You are responding to a level of strain that would challenge anyone. The fact that you feel overwhelmed doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're human. You don't need to have everything figured out right now. You don't need a perfect plan. What you need is permission to slow down, to stabilize, and to take this one layer at a time. Healing and rebuilding are not linear processes. They loop, pause, and sometimes move sideways, and that's okay. There will come a moment, quiet and almost unnoticeable, when you realize that things no longer feel as heavy as they once did. Not because life is suddenly easy, but because you're stronger, calmer, and more grounded in how you face it. You'll look back at this period and see it not as the moment everything broke, but as the moment you learned how deeply connected everything really is. And if this story resonated with you, if it put words to something you've been feeling but couldn't explain, I invite you to subscribe and stay here with me. This space is for healing stories, calm perspectives, and gentle guidance through life's hardest seasons. You don't have to walk through this alone.